I've worn as many hats as I feel physically capable of wearing. I've made my own website. I created my own business cards, fine-tuned this HIPAA compliant therapy platform. I've done as much as that as I could. I decided enough is enough. I've worn as many hats as I could. And I finally started interviewing some marketing firms. As a sole entrepreneur, it was so nice to finally have people to talk to that could guide me. The peace that it brought me, having someone who really knew what they were doing, and I can see this progress. I feel really glad that I stepped outside of my comfort zone.
All of us business owners need to take that moment, take a breath and see, where can I take something off my plate, or where would it take me more time and money out of my own pocket to learn this and to hire someone and have them fast track me like a mentor. Welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs, growing 1% everyday podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs podcast, where we discuss how to grow 1% every day in both business and self. Joining me today is Dr. Louisa Ferraro-Gonzalez, the owner of Infant Feeding Specialist, a business helping new mothers around the U.S. with expert feeding therapy for infants and medically complex babies. Here to talk with Louisa about how she turned her passion into a business and how she is scaling her company all around the U.S. Thank you, Louisa, for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Kyle, for having me.
You know, it's an exciting topic. I know personally, as a new father, I had to watch my wife go through a lot of the processes of learning how to feed our little Harper, our little baby, and the difficulties that's around that, and the positives that come from when this baby and the mother have a true connection. So can you tell me kind of your background of why you created this business, the process that you went through to get to today, and kind of what the business looks like today?
Yeah, great. Well, I'm glad I see all of those pictures of your cute daughter, and good luck with the next one on the way. So as you know firsthand, and so many people do as well, feeding a baby isn't always as easy and natural as they claim it's going to be. They're really confused, and a lot of times their healthcare providers are saying, "Oh, well, the baby's growing and it's fine." But when feedings are a struggle, it takes away from that bonding. It takes away from that feeling of success that we want parents to feel. We want them to be confident and competent and really proud of their parenting. And when that doesn't align and when it's not going well, parents don't do well, babies don't do well, and then it can actually lead to a lot of difficulties down the road. So I'm a speech and language pathologist by degree, and shortly after graduating, got into pediatric feeding, and then just kept going into subspecialty after subspecialty after subspecialty until I ended up in a NICU, a neonatal intensive care unit. And that is where we're treating the most medically fragile and the teeniest, tiniest of the babies. And there's a big push of late to really incorporate the families and focus on family-centered care, where we're letting these moms and dads and caregivers be firsthand providers to their infants. And one of the greatest challenges that these infants in particular face are feeding. And while we do an amazing job in the units and in the NICUs, once those families get discharged home, a lot of times they aren't well supported in the communities through their outpatient care centers. So that was kind of why we wanted to start this practice. We wanted to make sure that we were catching these families and providing them with the appropriate evidence and support that they deserve. These parents deserve to have all of the right information to support their babies. So that's how it all started. I treat here in New York, but the goal is to eventually have one specialist in every state. So we're currently treating in 6 states. We are either speech language pathologists or occupational therapists, and all of us are also certified lactation consultants and certified neonatal therapists. A certified neonatal therapist is a very, very small group of professionals that you could only get certified if you have a certain amount of experience and pass a very rigorous test. So we're really the only ones in the field right now providing the service outpatient to families in need. And we're really excited about the opportunity to support more families and get more babies happy and thriving and having these families grow together with more confidence and happiness.
Unique as well as powerful, bringing that much education in a group to make sure that you're giving it to parents where they honestly feel the most vulnerable, where after they get home and they're all excited and the hormones start dropping down again and they're like, now it's just me and my husband who has no idea what the heck he's supposed to be doing in the process, right? So, and being able to support those families. Talk a little bit about, the starting of the business. What year was it created?
So we just started it last year. So we're about a year and a half in. It has been an idea that we've had for a bit, but the actual real pulling together the website and the specialists and the HIPAA compliant therapy platform, we're about a year and a half in. But I would say that was a very soft opening. I really count this January as like we're really like we're open. We have 6 states. We're doing well. So that's kind of like my guide for real numbers, where that first year was just such a learning curve. Being a clinical researcher myself, trying to manage a practice and understand the business side of it, it was a really, really steep learning curve for me. So I've been giving myself a lot of grace. And I think one of the most important lessons that I've learned is that, if it doesn't resonate with me, don't do it. Like there were a lot of things that I tried that I was like, well, this is going to maybe help me bring money. Because at some point, the care and the altruistic nature of what I do, I also have to like pay my bills and send my kid to school and do all of those things, right? And so at one point they were real in opposition. I was like, well, let me just do this one thing because maybe it'll generate a lot of money. But it truly didn't resonate with me as a provider and as someone who's really passionate about these families. And it didn't go anywhere. And it was kind of like great validation and feedback that as a new business owner, like really just do things that feel right for how you want to present your company and present your product and your services.
Yeah, how important for the entrepreneurs and business owners listening to this right now. Maybe this is not your category of business whatsoever, but no matter what category we're in, we've talked about this in other podcasts of you have to make sure that you appreciate not only the system that you've put together and you have value behind that system, but you also appreciate the customers that come in and they respect your business, respect your time, and they're aligned with your mission, your vision, and your goals. Because the even a highest paying customer that is the worst thing to your business, aka they don't align with your vision, they don't align with your goals, they disrespect your staff, they don't fit with the mold of the business you're trying to create, can be the most detrimental to your growth that you possibly can. Even as you said, it could be more revenue coming in, but for the long-term growth of your business, if you're not passionate for it and you don't feel confident about what you're doing with that specific individual, it's not the right way to go. So very powerful, and I think awesome advice. Let's talk a little bit about your ideal consumer avatar, kind of who you're going after right now and how you're doing that. I'd love to hear your who you're pinpointing and your process of getting in front of those consumers.
Yeah, so it was a little bit hard to decide. And honestly, I flipped and flopped a lot because I think that the NICU families, the families that are leaving the NICU, are such a vulnerable population. And I really wanted to focus the entire program and the entire offerings towards them. But the truth is that like so many moms, so many dads, so many caregivers get a baby and there's no manual for these things. And a lot of times the evidence, or especially around feeding, I feel like feeding is very cultural, right? Like it's how your parents did it, it's how you ask your friend. And but what people are starting to learn and starting to really realize is that it's not just a task. Like there's so much emotion in feedings. There's so much real science behind how you should do it, which kind of nipple you should use and why, what kind of bottle you should use and why. If you're going to breastfeed, how can we mimic bottles to breastfeeding? Because breastfeeding is what's most like biologically normal for the way these babies learn. And if you don't do it right in those early months, it can affect all of these later developmental milestones. So it gets to be heavier than just ask your mom what she did when you were a baby 30 years ago. And so we're trying to help everybody really. So the webpage is like gets a feel for the NICU and the medically complex, but it's also readable enough and I hope relatable enough that any mom or any caregiver that reads the website reads the webpage might say, oh yeah, you know what, maybe this is a good service for me too. Because they want to be seen and they want to be heard just as much as this other really vulnerable population. I feel like moms, new parents are vulnerable in and of themselves because you're trying to figure out your new role and that can be really stressful sometimes. So what I've done, I've worn as many hats as I feel physically capable of wearing. I've made my own website. I created my own business cards, fine tuned this HIPAA compliant therapy platform. I've done as much as that as I could. I'm not a big social media user for myself personally. So I've been trying to do a little bit of that from a professional standpoint. And honestly, it's just, it doesn't, I don't know. I don't know if it's just I'm emotionally cut off. I don't know. I can't handle it. I don't know what to do with it. So I've taken a lot of classes with that. But the big part that was, I think, a real difference for me is talking to other families and asking if you needed help, where would you go? Like if you need help with your baby, like who would you ask and what would you? And they all said search engines. And so I started learning more about SEO and how to optimize my placement on Google and Bing. And I decided enough is enough. I've worn as many hats as I could. And I finally started interviewing some marketing firms. And I landed with one after I interviewed four, and I landed with one. And I don't know, as a sole entrepreneur, it was so nice to finally have people to talk to that could guide me. Like I honestly, the peace it brought me, even though I don't really have the capital to pay them, the peace that it brought me having someone who really knew what they were doing. And I can see this progress already. They've been such a godsend. I feel really glad that I stepped outside of my comfort zone to ask for help, because that's not something I do, especially if I don't have the income for it.
It's such a powerful thing, though. As entrepreneurs, we have to do this all of ourselves. We have to launch the business. We have to create everything. We have to fabricate this idea and this concept of how to help the world. And we are by ourselves through that process. But then we get into it and realize, man, yes, my service and my product is one thing, but the world of business is so vast. From having an accountant to do your P&Ls to having someone to handle your content development, your social media marketing, to someone to optimize your website for your positioning organic. And it all leads back to the same thing, getting in front of new customers, but using professionals to get it help you throughout that process. Because I can tell you personally, it took me 6 years of studying marketing and advertising through digital platforms to understand, oh, this is how you actually create profit, not just clicks, not just likes, not just revenue, but actually profit through advertising and marketing. Because if you're not being profitable, you are just burning your business into the ground. And it's great, Louisa, for you to step back and say, I needed help. I needed support. I think all of us business owners need to take that moment, take a breath, and see, where can I take something off my plate, or where would it take me more time and money out of my own pocket to learn this and to hire someone and have them fast track me like a mentor in a certain position of the business. Super,
Yeah.
super.
And Kyle, quick to that point, I feel like it's okay to not know everything. Like I want to believe so badly that like I could figure this out. I'm a smart person. Like I can do it really more for anything else. It has allowed me to now have more time to treat more families. And that's really where my passion is. That's really my strong suit. So being able to delegate has allowed me to live a more aligned career because I still get to wake up and do more of what I really love and not the business thing that might be a little bit more outside of my comfort zone.
And the craziest part is if you actually put in your cost per hour, like if as entrepreneurs at some point, if you guys are listening to this right now and you have been an entrepreneur for over 2 or 3 years and you do not know what you are worth per hour, sit down and do the calculations. Try to figure out, okay, this is roughly how much I'm making. This is how many hours I'm working. I mean, for entrepreneurs, it's a little rough because you start putting 80, 90, 100 hours a week in there, right? The number goes down pretty low. But if you understand that as entrepreneurs, when you're building your business, if you're worth more than $25 an hour and you can hire someone to take over something that is, and it costs you less than $25 an hour than your own sweat equity and time, you're saving yourself money. I love Alex Hormozy has recently been talking about it costs dollars to get back your lifetime of cooking, of cleaning, of laundry, and things like that. And what can you put that time and effort towards to actually help build your business? So super powerful. Let's talk about what you're doing to build your business today, right? You just decided you hired an SEO company to bring it on. What is your plans for the next 3 to 6 months? Do you have goals that you want to hit, revenue goals, or potential amount of parents or mothers that you want to work with in the next 3 to 6 months? How do you look at the goal structuring of your business?
Yeah, so it's a little hard because I, as like an international expert on the topic, I feel like a lot of the patients are coming to see me, but the truth is that I could only see so many. So it was really important for me to collect and grow a network. So right now my focus is kind of letting my name organically fill up New York, but I really want to start promoting the other states. So we're in New Jersey, Massachusetts, Florida, California, and Texas. So my 3 to 6 month goal is to get all of the specialists that I have treating in those 5 other states to see at least 2 new patients. Once they do that, then I'll feel like, okay, well, there's like, we're picking up cases, we're letting awareness be increased in these other states. And then I want to grow into 5 new states, specifically Virginia, Maryland, DC area. I do a lot of educating down there, as well as Michigan, Ohio, and New Hampshire. So eventually I want to grow and grow and grow. And what's really nice is right now, these people that are working with me, they're again highly specialized, highly trained clinicians, but they're also like my friends. Like through all of the years of all of these medical conferences and all of these years sharing research and collecting data together and presenting and educating and mentorship, like I've really called in people that, like, if my sister was in another state and said, hey, I need help, who do I call? Like I already have those people and I have this really rich network. So growing the states will be easy. I just can't do it until I've proven to be successful in the 5 or 6 that I have already.
And again, entrepreneurs, business owners, listen to how clear her vision is. Listen to, hey, I know exactly where I need to go. I have these KPIs set in place. I need 2 new patients per each one of the doctors that I'm working with in these specific states. And then I want to expand from state to state to state. I want to make sure that, and I want to make sure it's emphasized to all the business owners listening, that if you do not have a clear vision and goal for your business, there's nobody else driving the ship. There's nobody else that's going to set these goals for you. Louisa, incredible information. Great to hear your vision. Great to hear what you're doing, because I do think it's super powerful. I have 2 more questions for you, and then I'll let you go. As an entrepreneur, and when you made this shift to be a business owner, and you've gone through the development of your company, can you give us a challenge, a difficulty, a story of anything that you have gone through that kind of made you reframe your mindset of what it really meant to be not just serving clients like you were in the past, but serving clients as the business owner, and some lessons that you learned through that process?
Yeah, this is a great question. I think something that you've said earlier, and having watched some of your other recent podcasts, is just hold on to the why. I really believe, like, if you know your why, a lot of those decisions are going to clear up on you. So like I consider myself to be really mission driven and really like grounded in that. So for example, here I am considering at one point, do I also grow this into infant massage and lactation and like physical therapy for like torticollis and tummy time, and like because all of these services are really important and all of these things are questions that parents have all the time. But I had to come back to the mission. Okay, if I do this, is it going to help moms and dads and caregivers feel confident during their feedings? Like I had to keep a really narrow scope and then ask myself at every decision, does this satisfy the goal? Does this satisfy the goal? Because I was like, oh, should I be infant feeding or should I be infant care? Should I go broad? Like it's so easy, especially when you have so much knowledge and you know you have a network that I could rely. Like there were so many opportunities to go bigger, and I felt like at my first go, I had to choose a really, really tight mission and just constantly loop back to it. So even for example, in my field, there are other professionals that have gone out of the NICU and see patients outside of their NICU time. And it's usually just 1 or 2 people, but they may also be certified neonatal therapists. And maybe they're accepting insurance, maybe they're not. Maybe they have lower fees. Maybe they have an office so that no one has to go into a home. And what we do is a lot virtual, which is increasing access, but virtual might be hard for some families. I made the decision to list them as resources on my webpage. Now, from a business standpoint, people think that's crazy, but the truth is, the mission is, am I helping more families and babies feel successful with their feedings? And recognizing that that may not be with me, but that might be with this other practice that's closer to home. So it was important to me to just also advocate under this umbrella that there are specialists that can help and families can get help. And it doesn't have to be with my practice, but then you should still know where to go. And that was important to stay as tight to the mission as possible.
How powerful. I mean, one, you can feel and hear your animation and your strength behind that mission. Once you've solidified that and you knew that was what you were going after, saying no is one of the most powerful things as an entrepreneur. Once we open the door of we can do X, Y, and Z, and then more opportunities come in the back end, we can find ourselves completely overwhelmed. But saying no sets you as that specialist. And it's great to hear how you became such a specialist within the individual field. And then you're seeing that same process and procedure through growing your business and making sure, as you said, holding on to that mission and focusing on that mission is so powerful, because it is your mission. It's nobody else's, right? You might get people that come along throughout the process, but at the end of the day, you are driving that ship. You are driving the direction of the company. And if you do decide to go broad, the difficulties and the processes that come behind that, it's like building a whole nother business. You being specialized in this specific category of really feeding really allows you to hone in and be the best of that category. Absolutely love that. Let's transition a little bit away from the business and more into you. And just the last question I have for you is a little bit more personal question. How do you find your Kaizen? What do you do on a daily basis to ensure that your mindset, your abilities, and your concepts are always pushing towards increasing and improving every single day, at least 1%, both in business and in self? How do you find the ability to just constantly improve?
I think it really goes down to mindset. I mean, having that growth mindset and never looking at anything as a failure, but really like a learning opportunity. I think keeping that mindset at the forefront helps you give yourself a little grace, because the truth is you are going to make mistakes. Like in this process in the last year and a half, I made dozens of them, but you know what? I'm going to give myself grace because I'm new and I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to make sure that this is what springboards my next really, really great idea. So knowing that there's always something to learn, knowing that I will make mistakes and to embrace them, that kind of gets me through, I think, everything. I mean, even just parenting, even just being a wife, being a friend, being a sister and a daughter, like we can't control everything. You're really just responsible for yourself, and remembering that you're human and kind of embrace the adversity is going to make you stronger and wiser as you go.
Yeah, we realized very quickly that failure was only a thing that happened in high school and in college when we had tests. And then once you get out, it is just learning lessons, and you're either continue going forward or stop what you're doing and give up on your dreams. Dr. Louisa Ferraro-Gonzalez is really hitting multiple points here of how to be not just a great business owner that goes after a mission, but an entrepreneur that constantly finds their Kaizen and improves every single day. If somebody was in your area or just anywhere around your service areas and are looking for help, either a mother or looking to join you and looking for more information about you, how can they get connected with you? How can they find you?
Yeah, so infantfeedingspecialists.com. There's a contact form there. Feel free to email me any questions that you might have. It's Louisa at infantfeedingspecialists.com. I do have an Instagram page, but as I said, it's not very good yet. I'm working on it. So I'm slowly getting there on that. And also on LinkedIn under my name, Louisa Ferraro-Gonzalez.
Again, thank you, Dr. Louisa Ferraro-Gonzalez. It was awesome. It's great to hear people that are focused in this category, because I know when we did our research 2 years ago when our baby was born, it's very lackluster of what we can find at home to get support for new wives that are really going through this process. All that information for our business is going to be found below in the description. If you guys have finished this podcast, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next Kaizen podcast.